The king of the 405 is gone. Justin Big Chief Shearer, the man who was Street Outlaws, the heart and soul of the show, didn't just leave, he vanished. For years, fans have been stunned, asking one question: why? We were told a simple story, but the official story was just a tiny piece of the truth. The real reason he left the 405 is a dark story, a story of betrayal, near death, and a terrifying threat that almost cost him everything. The king who built the list. To understand how terrifying the end was, you have to go back to the beginning. You have to understand what Big Chief built. Justin Shearer was not just a cast member. He was the 405. His history with this world goes back to when he was just 9 years old. He used to ride his bike to Route 66 just to watch the races. This life was in his blood. When the show started, Big Chief was the man who ran the show. He was the race master. If anyone wanted a spot on that sacred top 10 list, they had to go through Big Chief. He wasn't just the host. He was the gatekeeper, the rule maker, and the most feared racer. He resurrected his first race car, a 1972 Pontiac Le Mans, and he called it the Crow. The Crow became a legend. When Chief finally decided to step down as race master just so he could race the Crow, he immediately called out the #1 spot. He was the list. And this wasn't just a group of racers. This was a family. We all saw it. We saw the easy friendship between him, Farm Truck, and AZN. We watched them work together, devise plans, and build this small Oklahoma City crew into a national powerhouse. And at the very center of it all was his bond with Sean Ellington, the man we all know as Murder Nova. They were more than friends. They were partners. They built a business together, Midwest Street Cars. They were the two-headed dragon at the top of the 405. For almost 9 years, they built some of the most incredible cars together. Chief and Sean made the show. He had built an empire. He had his car, the Crow. He had his business, Midwest Street Cars, and he had his family, the 405. And then, one by one, every single piece of that empire was ripped away. The first crack in the wall was the story they told us. The official reason for his exit was simple: philosophical differences. The main problem, they said, was a new rule from the production company. It was called the Race Your Way In policy. What did this mean? It meant that new racers had to earn their spot on the show through a big preseason competition. They couldn't just be selected by the show's management or by Chief anymore. On the surface, it was supposed to look fair, but Big Chief hated it. He openly disagreed with this rule. He felt it was unfair and discriminatory towards some racers. He watched as many participants were allowed to take part, while other deserving racers were just left behind. His concerns were about fairness, and this new policy created massive friction between him and the show's management. This disagreement, we were told, is what caused the huge break. But you have to ask yourself, does a king really walk away from his entire empire over a single rule? That's the story they wanted you to believe. The truth is, the friction was not just a disagreement. It was a war for control. And it was a war Big Chief was terrifyingly losing. The Puppet King. You see, Big Chief was the face of the 405. He was the race master. He was the man who ran the show. That's what we all saw on TV. He was the fearless leader. But behind the scenes, this was no longer true. On a podcast he did with Limpy, the truth finally came out. Big Chief admitted it. He had the title of Race Master, but he had no real say over rules or anything. Who was really in charge? The producers. The producers were dictating what they did. The producers were making the rules for all the shows. This was the real conflict. This was the bullshit he was expected to defend. He finally revealed the truth in his own words. He said he was, once again, expected to defend bullshit competition rules and decisions that effectively changed the racing style and format of the entire franchise. And the worst part? These were decisions that I nor the other racers had any part in making, and quite frankly, decisions I and most others didn't agree with. He was the heart and soul of the show, but he had zero control. He was a puppet. He was being forced, year after year, to defend decisions that were changing the very sport he loved. He was trapped in a role he couldn't walk away from. And as the producers were squeezing him from the inside, another power was threatening him from the outside. That power was the National Hot Rod Association, the NHRA. The NHRA is the big leagues of professional drag racing. They are the establishment. And they hate street racing. They hate everything Street Outlaws stood for. So in 2015, they sent ultimatum letters. They sent them to Big Chief and other cast members like his best friend Sean, Murder Nova. The letters were a direct threat. They warned them to stop participating in a show that glorifies illegal street racing. If they didn't, the NHRA would take away their competition license. Forever. This was a terrifying choice. This was a choice that could end his whole career. Big Chief wasn't just a street racer. He had dreams of going pro. He wanted to be a professional drag racer. And he did it. In 2016, he made his official NHRA debut at the U.S. Nationals. This was the biggest drag race on Earth. He called it his lifelong dream, becoming a reality. He was finally a professional drag racer. But now, the NHRA was forcing him to choose his dream or the show. They were even watching the show to see if his car had NHRA decals on it while street racing. The pressure was unbelievable. The NHRA eventually backed down a little, even having Chief film a public service announcement telling fans to race on tracks, not the street. But the threat was always there. He was being crushed. The producers were demanding he be a puppet. The NHRA was threatening to end his entire professional career. The pressure to stay on top while risking his life every night was building. He had no safe place left to go. The pressure cooker. While he was fighting suits in offices, he was also fighting the baddest racers in the country on the street. The pressure to win was constant. Remember the rivalry with Kai Kelly? Kai was the hometown hero from Mississippi. He was just a small-town country boy who loved to race. But Big Chief called him out. Their rivalry became one of the biggest in the show's history. They raced for huge money, with reports of races for over $100,000. The stakes were massive. And then there was his oldest rival, Daddy Dave. Big Chief and Daddy Dave had been racing each other for 20 years. Their rivalry was legendary. We all watched the episode where Daddy Dave finally dethroned Big Chief and took the #1 spot. The pressure to get that spot back, to be #1, was everything. He was fighting producers, he was fighting the NHRA, and he was fighting the fastest racers in the world night after night. But the pressure from suits and the pressure from rivals was nothing compared to the physical terror he was facing every single night on the street. And in 2015, that terror almost put him in a grave. The Nightmare Crash. It was 2015. They were filming an episode. Big Chief was lined up for a race against Brian Chucky Davis. It was a routine race, just like any other, but it turned into an absolute nightmare. Chucky's Mustang got loose. It tagged the rear quarter panel of Chief's car, the Crow. In an instant, both cars were sent flying. It was a terrifying, near-fatal crash. The Crow, his fan-favorite 1972 Pontiac Le Mans, the car we all knew and loved, was completely totaled. It was mangled. Both drivers were transported to an area hospital to be treated for serious injuries. This is where the story gets real. This wasn't TV drama. Big Chief was pretty beat up, and the list of his injuries is horrifying. He posted from the hospital. He had pulmonary contusions. That means his lungs were bruised. He crushed his L2 and L3 vertebrae in his back. He broke his back. He had a broken collarbone. He was on nonstop oxygen just to be able to breathe. He later said that the safety equipment saved his life. He admitted that his car builder, Don DL, had looked him in the face years earlier. Don told him that he was going to get himself killed, and that he wouldn't even work on the car unless Chief let him make it safe. Chief told him he couldn't afford it, but Don told him he had to find a way. That making the car safe was the most important thing. And he was right. Big Chief walked away from a crash that should have killed him. This crash left more than physical scars. It was a terrifying reminder of the danger. He had to live with this pressure to stay on top while risking life every night. He was living with the burnout and the personal loss. And he saw it happen to his friends too. We all saw the episode where Jeff Lutz crashed his car at 160 miles per hour. It was horrifying, but the show also captured the aftermath. The camera found Big Chief. He saw the wrecked car. He saw Lutz on the floor, and he just breaks down. He couldn't hold it in. This was the toll. This was the real cost of living life at full throttle for too long. He had stared death in the face. His body was broken, and his spirit was cracking. He was risking his life for a show where he had no power, a show where he was just a puppet for producers. But the physical danger was only half the story. While he was recovering, the family he built his life around, the 405, was about to turn on him. The House of Crows, the 405, was a family. But in 2017, Big Chief's real family fell apart. His marriage to Alicia, his first wife, was over. They decided to part ways. This wasn't just some short-term relationship. They met while Justin was working at a gas station. He was only 18 years old. They dated for years and got married in 2006. They had 2 children, Civil and Corbin. They were together for almost 11 years of marriage. This was the foundation of his life, and it was gone. Soon after, he started dating Jackie Brash, a fellow racer, but the personal loss was just beginning. As his marriage was ending, his other family broke. The biggest betrayal of all. His partnership with his best friend, his brother, Sean Murder Nova Ellington, exploded. They were the heart of the 405. They owned Midwest Street Cars together. They were the team. But then Sean made the emotional decision to start tuning his car at his own place. He was leaving Midwest Street Cars, and he didn't just walk away. A report from that time said all of Sean's cars, his tools, even his TVs were gone from the shop. On a podcast, Chief called it a trial separation. The official story that came out was that Sean just wanted to still have time to spend with his family after all the race car stuff. That's what we were told. But was that the real story? Rumors started flying, and one report from that time painted a much, much darker picture. It claimed that Chief's divorce was ongoing, that he was fighting in court over the value of all his cars and vehicles. The bills were mounting. This report claimed the split with Sean, the man who helped found the company, may have been a financial move, a move to separate themselves and Sean financially from Chief's mounting legal bills and his messy divorce, and to make it all worse. At the very same time, Big Chief was hit with a federal tax lien. His finances were in trouble. Do you see the full picture now? His wife of 11 years was gone. His money was in serious trouble. And his best friend, his business partner, was also gone. The show even aired the fallout. Tensions were high. With Chief and Murder Nova no longer working together, the entire 405 was in chaos. And it wasn't just Sean. His friendship with Daddy Dave, another 405 OG, a man he had been racing for 20 years, a man he was once very tight with, that appears to have changed too. The old crew was broken. Racers turned their backs on him. He was now a lone wolf. And in an interview, Big Chief admitted it himself. He said, "It's not by choice that I'm a lone wolf." He was completely and totally alone. He had lost his wife, he was in financial trouble, and he had lost his best friend. He was at his lowest point. He was abandoned. And that is when his enemies and a real-life stalker decided to strike. The war at home. With his old friends gone, Big Chief's new enemies smelled blood. And they came fast. A rival racer, Reaper SS, went public. He took to YouTube to shovel all the bullshit out and tell the real story. He posted videos called Real Talk, the BS behind Chief. He called Chief trash. This was a public, bitter, and nasty feud. It all started after a heated dispute over the legality of Reaper's car. Big Chief and his team had dropped Reaper from the 405 list, and Reaper never forgot it. And then there was Memphis. The rivalry with the Memphis crew, with JJ Boss, was always heated. But this was different. This fight got personal. Reports from behind the scenes claimed it involved Big Chief's new girlfriend, Jackie. One source described a massive confrontation. It said the savage Memphis women teamed up and ganged up on Jackie. Big Chief tried to get in the middle to protect her. And that's when, according to this source, JJ Boss talks about the gun he has in his truck, a threat. The feuds were one thing. The threat of a gun was terrifying. But then, it became real. This is the part of the story they never talk about. This is the terrifying truth. An unknown gunman drove to Big Chief's shop, Midwest Street Cars. This person fired several bullets on the doors and windows of his shop. This was not for TV. This was not a joke. This was real-life violence. But the gunman wasn't done. After shooting up his shop, the gunman then proceeded to his house. He was at home. His alarms went off, alerting him to the danger. The shooters fled. Stop and think about that. This isn't a TV show. This isn't a rivalry. This is a real person with a real gun, shooting at his business, and then driving to his home, where he was. And the most terrifying part of all, none of the shooters were caught. This was the end. Do you get it now? It was never about a policy. Big Chief was a man who had been nearly killed in a car crash. He was abandoned by his best friends and business partner. He was in financial trouble. He was being threatened by other racers. And now, he was being hunted by an unknown gunman who was still out there. The 405 was no longer a show. It was a terrifying trap. He had to get out. He had to escape. Life. After the 405. This brings us to today, 2024 and 2025. After all that, everyone is still asking, is Big Chief coming back? We've all seen the suspicious signals, but we finally have the answer. And that answer is no. He is gone. He is not coming back to Street Outlaws. He said it himself. He does not want to work in television anymore. He said he's tired of TV networks and their super quick money grab. He said he just wants to race and build his own brand. He is finally in control of his story. Instead of being on TV, he's focused on his own ventures. He's on YouTube, sharing videos of his ongoing car projects. He's still very involved in the auto and racing industry, but he's doing it for himself. So what is he actually doing right now in 2024 and 2025? The latest signals show he is working on his new shop. His new videos show him getting back into the swing of things. And yes, he is racing. He is in high-octane preparation for Cash Days 2025. He even had a dramatic lane crash, but kept going. He is proving he is still a dominant force, but he's doing it his way. And here is the biggest update of all. The car he was famous for on the show. His legendary Crow mod. The Pontiac Firebird he built after his big crash. He sold it. In early 2025, the huge news dropped. The Crow mod has a new owner. It's being run in a new class. It's back on the track, but it's not his anymore. That era is officially over. Selling that car was the end of a chapter. It was the end of the Street Outlaws' Big Chief. But it's not the end of his racing. He's not done. He's going back to his roots. His new project, he is getting the Crow ready for small tire street racing. Not the Crow mod, the original Crow. He's unleashing the legendary car for an epic small tire showdown. Big Chief's exit wasn't a choice. It was an escape. The terrifying truth is that the show we loved was a nightmare behind the scenes. It was a world of producer control, near-fatal danger, and deep personal betrayals. And when all that pressure led to a real-life gunman at his door, he had to walk away to save himself. Today, he's finally free, building his own life, in his own shop, on his own terms.